Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to go over the basics of using Amazon's Repricer. Okay, so basically how their Repricer works is that it will automatically raise or lower your selling price based upon the rule parameters that you create. And you can create multiple rules. Everything is based on a SKU. Each SKU can only be in one rule, however, at a time. And you must set a minimum or maximum price for each SKU before you turn on the Repricer. So let's take a look. Okay, to get to Amazon's Repricer, you're going to go up to Pricing and you're going to go to Automate Pricing. Now, I already have some rules set up and some SKUs in my Repricer, so you may or may not see create a repricing rule. You may see something that says get started, but either way it should be this color, and go ahead and click it. All right, now we have a three-step process. We're going to first pick the rule and the marketplace and then put in the rule parameters. All right, so we're going to select the rule. Now, I'm making this video primarily for booksellers, right? People that are selling used books. However, you could adapt this to any other product that you're selling on Amazon. But if you're selling used books, typically you're going to want to either pick competitive buy box or competitive low price. Competitive external price would be if you're going to be pricing against other platforms outside of Amazon. So I typically don't recommend that for doing books, but that may be applicable and may be good for other products. And now, based upon sales units, this is helpful if you happen to be selling private label, where you're basically doing it repricing based upon your own sales of one particular SKU. Typically for a bookseller, that's not something you're going to use, so I'm not going to go over that here. And then we have business prices. Now, business prices may also be for not so much for booksellers, but for folks that have different pricings or want to have different pricing for business customers. Okay, and that is helpful. Usually, if you're doing private label or you're selling, a lot of office supplies or something, you might want to use that. So we're going to focus on competitive buy box and competitive low price. Now, we're not going to get into a lot of strategy, but I'm going to show you the mechanics of how it works in this video. So let's say I want to go with competitive low price. So competitive buy box, there's no right or wrong. I definitely use both, but for this one, we'll go over competitive low price. So we're going to click on that. Now, the name of the rule, this is sort of important because it's important to stay organized, I should say. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm going to just name it something that I want the rule itself to match the name, and that becomes important if you have lots of rules. But for right now, I'm just going to put in test, and I'm going to pretend, or let's say that I want my lowest price to be 50 cents above the lowest FBA price. This video, I am doing it from a perspective of FBA, but this can apply to any other way, but I'm going to do it by FBA. So I'm going to say, what did I say I was going to do? Above the lowest price, above lowest FBA by 50 cents. Whoops. All right, so that's the rule name. Now, that doesn't do anything with the rule itself, but it just keeps me organized to know that this is what the rule is going to be. And then I'm going to click select the marketplace. Now, if you have multiples, maybe you want to do other ones, but typically most people are just going to pick Amazon. That's what I'm going to do here, and we'll continue. All right, now here's where we're setting up the exact rule. So remember what I said here. We're going to want to match the name of the rule to match what the rule actually is. So we're going to go above. So we're going to say stay above lowest price by specified amount. All right. Now, they do give you two options. And by the way, this is sort of a little error, but error on Amazon's part. If you click here, nothing's happening. But if you click on the $sign, now you can pick percentage or $sign. I said 50 cents, so I'm going to stick with that. But sometimes it might make more sense for you to use the percentage. But I'm doing it 50 cents, so I'll put in 50 cents. All right, so now remember I said I'm pricing this as though I'm an FBA seller. So what I do not want this one. Which type of offer do you want to compare on Amazon? So Let's click this, specified types of offers. Now, this is the important one, is the second one. I'll come back to the first one. Only offers with the same fulfillment method. So if you're an FBA seller, typically this is what you're going to want to price against, right? There could be times where you say, you know what, I want to price against all sellers. If you're an FBA bookseller, you know that those prices are usually always higher. But typically, if you're an FBA seller, this is the one you're going to want to select. Only offers with the same fulfillment method. Now, this one here, the first one, only offers in the same or better condition, subcondition. So, as you know, with books in used condition, you have acceptable, good, very good, and like new. So I would recommend selecting this one if you were, for example, have books that are in good condition and you don't want to match prices that are in acceptable condition. You would go ahead and click this button here. So in this example, let's just say maybe I have an acceptable book, or I just want to price above the lowest. I don't care what condition that book is in. So there's that. Next one, only sellers with feedback rating of 5% of yours or higher. All right, so you can click this button if you want to stay just what it says. Now, there's some pluses and minuses to this. If you have 100% feedback, this actually could sometimes hurt you by clicking this, because then you're not going to be priced against folks that are, for example, they have a 92% and that's not within 5%. So it's not even going to consider that. Okay, so you'll need to decide whether or not you want to consider that person's offer in your repricing rule. Okay, so if I click the button, then it will not reprice. It won't consider that person's price at all when figuring out this rule. All right. For this example, I'm going to leave it off. The downside to leaving it off is you can have a seller with a 45% ROI. A 45% feedback rating, which is terrible, really. And they're pricing really, really low, and then you're going to be pricing 50 cents above them. All right. So that's just, you're going to have to decide for yourself if you want to do that. The next thing is only offers from third-party sellers. So this one, you're going to want to click it if you want to really. The only thing I can think of is Amazon, right? Amazon has warehouse deals, or they're selling it new or whatever. So usually I would recommend clicking that, where we don't want to consider Amazon, right? We just want to price against other third-party sellers. Okay, so you can click that. All right, now this next one, by default, they put it as yes. Do you want to compare with prices that are off Amazon? If you're a bookseller, my recommendation is no, but you can do what you want. Then I don't know what really, you can read up on that. I don't know where they're going to come up with these prices that you're going to be pricing against, on eBay maybe. I don't even know. But I would never pick yes that I can think of at this time. I would always just pick no. That might be helpful, if you're doing a private label product or some other product that's sold on other websites like Kohl's and things like that. Maybe you would want to consider those prices, but for this purposes, we're going to say no. Now this last one, do you want to continue repricing if you update your prices elsewhere in Seller Central? Okay, so what this means is on your inventory page, if you were to change the price, do you want it to continue repricing? Now, this is actually a newer feature that Amazon put in here. It used to always be no. It would pause the repricing. I like that they give you the option, and I prefer the option of yes. Okay, and what this does, it makes it really easy for you to increase your price or change your price, and the repricer will continue working. But you can turn it on or off either way. All right, and then you want to save the rule once you have it all, and it'll do a recap for you here at the bottom if you want to review it. Make sure everything is right, and then you hit save this rule. Okay, now we've saved the rule, but we haven't done anything yet, right? We have to now add a SKU or multiple SKUs to this particular rule. So you'll go ahead and proceed to Skew Selection. And now what you'll do is you will put in a SKU here and search. And I found the book here. Now this book, I already have it set up in another rule, but I want to put it into this rule that I already have set up. So I'm going to click on Take Action. And now here's where you have you can view the pricing history after you start pricing it or repricing it. You can stop repricing it, but I want to assign it to a rule. So I'm going to locate the rule I just found, or I just set up. And there it is, test above lowest FBA by 50 cents. And as soon as you do that, the book is going to be repricing. You do need to set up the minimum and maximum. I already had it set up in this example. If I didn't, I would have to change it, but I have it set up. And as soon as you do that, you are simply repricing now. So this book, when it compares it, it will increase the price by 50 cents. Now, you are in complete control of this. So your minimum price is $51.05 and your maximum is $64.99. So don't be intimidated by the repricing. You can just start off repricing one SKU. It's very simple, right? Just follow these rules. The most important thing is really to set up your minimum and maximum price, right? So you've probably heard of price tanking, right? But you are in control if you set the minimum price to whatever you determine, right? And you can just set it down a little bit, and then as time goes on, depending on the book, you might want to lower it more. You may want to lower the maximum price, whatever you might want to do. So that is basically how it is. And if you wanted to stop the repricing on this book, you would simply come over here and click Stop Repricing. And it does say allow 15 minutes, and that is good to go. So there are other third-party repricers out there, so I just wanted to mention a few things about this Amazon repricer when compared to those third parties. So the first thing you need to know is that Amazon's repricer is free. So that's obviously a great feature to have with a repricer where you do not need to pay for it. The other one, and this one is very significant in my opinion, is that it always works with the rule parameters you set. So what I mean by that, if you start looking into using a third-party repricer, and there's some of them are out there that are pretty good, but the big issue that they have is that they will not always work with the rule parameters you set. What I mean by that, for example, in the example we did, we wanted a price 50 cents above the lowest FBA price. That's how we set up our rule to work, and it will work like that every single time using Amazon's repricer. However, if you are using a third-party repricer, there are times when the rule will not work the way you intend. And the reason for that, it's not really the third-party repricer's fault. It's simply that Amazon does not share all their data with the third-party repricers. So if you're going to use a third-party repricer, you really need to understand that. And basically, I believe it's the 20 lowest prices are what Amazon shares with the third-party repricers. So therefore, in certain instances, their repricer will not work the way you intend, and that can be very frustrating, which is one of the reasons I no longer use third-party repricers. Okay, so depending on how your inventory is, it may or may not work well for you, but you need to make sure you understand that before you use a third-party repricer. Now, the last thing I'll say is that it definitely has fewer features than third-party repricers. So this is where third-party repricers can really shine, because they come out with some features that you simply don't find in Amazon's repricer. As an example, in some of them may have a feature where in the middle of the night they are going to raise the price, every day to your maximum price, right? All by itself. It does that automatically. Or in certain instances, you can skip and not compare your price to very specific sellers. There's all kinds of things that they can do, and depending on your situation, and you might want to see if that makes sense for you. But there's definitely fewer features with Amazon's repricer compared to the third-party repricers that you need to pay for out there. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to learn more about book flipping on Amazon, leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.